This afternoon. I consider the topic we will discuss in the next hour the most important one. Of course, everyone does think the same, but let's dive into, let's say, our solution, the configure, price and quote solution for Microsoft Dynamics 365. Let's first introduce myself very quickly and then move into, I think the most important things is the product itself. So let's go to the next slide. So my name is Wim Mak. I'm already in this company for 11 years. Started as a consultant and moved into the sales position, selling our CPQ solution across the world for at least 11 years. Technical, educated, but also functional. And today you're presenter of our, I think, great solution, which is very important for a lot of customers today, using Dynamics, both CRM and ERP. The content. Let's go to CPQ itself. So what is CPQ? CPQ stands for configure, price and quote. And maybe a lot of you recognize the word configurator because in the early days, I think most of the people were calling this system a product configurator, and it was related to the car industry. Later it became sales and product configurator. Today we are calling it CPQ. And you have to consider CPQ as a kind of flexible layer on top of Dynamics 365 CE or Finance and Supply Chain Management or even Business Central. So we are integrated with both ERP and CRM from Microsoft. And what is the tool capable of? It's a tool that helps the sales reps to do their sales in a more efficient and in a more powerful, predictive and more successful way. So the solution will help the sales reps, not only the sales reps internally, but also customers and resellers to quickly and accurately generate quotes and orders, project contracts, whatever kind of entity you want to configure within Dynamics. And that could be related to products only, but also to services only or a combination. So we have various customers around the world in 30 countries using our systems to configure either products or services or a combination of both. What I've done, because we have only, let's say, 1 hour or 45 minutes before we go into the question and answers, I think there's never time enough to talk about this subject. If I go into the details, I can talk almost a couple of days. But that today it's to give you a first glimpse of our, let's say, ISV solution, our CPQ solution for Microsoft Dynamics. So what I would like to do in the next 45 minutes is give you a very brief introduction to our company. We will talk a little bit further about what is CPQ, what are the benefits of CPQ, so what will CPQ bring to an organization. We will also talk about customer success. I will give you a demo, a very brief demo of our solution, and of course, what do we have available for our partners and customers to take a look at and to dive into all the information which is available before they reach out to us. Again, I guess there is a question. You can ask the questions in the chat, and Ross will come back to that. I love to have always to have some kind of interactive session, but today I will do most of the things, most of the speaking. So let's go to the company itself. So our company is called Experlogix. We are based in the United States, in the Netherlands, in Europe, in Belgium, and in India. We are working in 30 countries, more than 30 countries, and having more than 600 customers using our solution. As I mentioned, our solution is a CPQ solution for Microsoft Dynamics. We started in 1999. Our integration is going back to 2005. So we started on the early versions of CRM, but also on ERP. We are a preferred solution. We are Microsoft certified. We are a gold partner, and even also Gartner recognizes as a very dominant CPQ system within the Microsoft ecosystem. If we talk about CPQ in a nutshell, it's about configuring complex products and services. It's about companies dealing with a lot of variations in their pricing and discounting. And it's about creating a quote you can send to the customer. That's what CPQ meant. So configure, price, and quoting. The integration is going at today. We are talking especially about Dynamics 365 for sales, CE, but we are also integrated with Finance and Operations, with Dynamics 365 Commerce. We are part of the Commerce already. You can integrate our solution with Dynamics 365 portals and also with Business Central, and in the early days even NAV. What are key considerations for using a CPQ or offering a CPQ to customers? Because not only the customers of Dynamics partners are our customers, but also Dynamics partners themselves are our customers because they deal with the same challenges. If they have to sell their products to their customers, there are all kind of constraints, all kind of validations, all kind of relations between the product you will sell and the services, or the license you will sell in another type of license. So when you are selling products and services and they are complex, they are related in a certain way, it's very important to take a look at a CPQ solution because it can bring a lot of, let's say, speed, efficiency to your organization. So what should a customer, let's say, what kind of challenges does customers have, our customers having, when they talk about a CPQ? When it takes a long time to create quotes, then there is a reason to look at CPQ because CPQ can increase the time to create a quote, especially when the quote is a very large quote with a lot of independencies or dependencies. So that's one of the questions. Does it take too long time to create a quote? Then it's absolutely worth to consider or to look into a CPQ solution. The next one is it difficult to train new salespeople? That's also a very important one because what we see at our customers is that people do have a lot of knowledge in their head about creating an offer for their customer. They have a lot of knowledge about their products, about the constraints, about the relations between their products and their services. So if a new sales rep is coming in the company, it takes time, even too much time, to bring them up and running. So if it's difficult to train new people, also CPQ, because it's a standard application, will help the company to do things in a faster way, to learn it in a faster way. Thing which is very important, and for some companies even the most important thing, is that to be more accurate. So when salespeople are often make mistakes, they sell something they can't sell, or they forgot something to offer to their customers because they didn't know, or whatever type, but they don't have the latest pricing because they are using not integrated systems. That's why they should consider a CPQ that's tight integrated with Dynamics 365 CE and ERP. Now, you don't have to use both. You can launch it from CE, but also from the ERP side. And another thing is, and I told you already, if rules are dictating how you sell. So for example, if it depends what you offer based on the country where you sell it to or where you are located. If there's a lot of rules regarding governmental, let's say, constraints or regulations, you can build this kind of rules into a CPQ system. So not every sales rep should keep this in their heads or save this in their heads. No, it's saved within the system. And you can easily use it and expand it across or share it across the whole sales force. Sales reps may be a better word. Last but not least, there are also, we have a lot of companies, they deal with multiple variables. So their pricing and their offering, their discounting, their, let's say, whole pricing system is very difficult to manage. And then it's also absolutely worth and important to look at a CPQ system because a CPQ system can use the data either from CE, from CRM or ERP to configure a final quote for the customer based on all kind of different input, manual input from the systems, but also based on calculations. There's one more, and that's about, would your customer buy faster if they could visualize their product? I think these days people are buying a lot via the internet, or at least they make their first choice via the internet. So it's very important to, let's say, already give a good impression of your solution, of your final solution you will offer to the customer on the web. So visualization, creating a picture, creating 3D visualization is also very important to a very important part of the configurator. So the last 5 slides were about, let's say, questions our customers are having when they have, and we will tell them, this is the reason why you should implement Experlogix CPQ. And then, of course, they will ask us, what is the added value? So what will it bring? And here you can see a slide with 8, I think, important added values of our CPQ solution. So CPQ is actually what I mentioned. Let's do it again. A flexible layer on top of the CRM system. So make it a little bit more touchable. If you log into CRM, you go to a quote. You don't have to fill in all the or select the products yourself. No, you will use the configurator to configure the full content of your quote. The questionnaire and the logic behind is something you can set up as a customer, or a customer can set up and maintain it themselves. So the toolbox, a solution that allows the customer to take control of his own tool. All our customers around the world, more than 600, are using exactly the same solution, and they can tailor it to their own needs and requirements. That doesn't mean it's customizations. No, the tool allows you to take control in all kinds of different ways, even if customers are the same type of customers and having the same challenges. They can solve it in different ways. That's what CPQ is doing. It's standardization. A lot of our customers and your customers are using different tools within the company, and they are not integrated. So what they do with the CPQ, you can all merge this and replace this by one tool. So standardize the tools, the amount of tools, but also standardize the way of working so that it will be more simplified or more easier to use by all the sales rep. So it's better in support and guidance and decisions which should be made. It's flexible. So what I said, all our customers are using exactly the same system, whether you are in, let's say, the heavy equipment, or whether you're in the manufacturing, or when you are delivering services, using exactly the same tool. Integration, I think people underestimating sometimes the integration part. Integration to Dynamics is these days very important, because Dynamics is using or is containing the most important information of the company. So the quote system, our CPQ system, is using data from all the tables from Dynamics CRM and ERP to configure that quote. It's not holding data in itself. No, it's using data from the backbone systems. Another thing which is very important is it's malleable. So a lot of companies are choosing for example, customization. We will build something today, and then it doesn't support a business tomorrow or the day after or within a year, because not only the systems are changing and the technology is changing, but also their business is changing. One example, from perpetual to subscription-based selling. That's a huge, let's say, challenge for a lot of customers. And how can you implement that within the current way of working? And I can tell you, the standard, although Dynamics 365 is very powerful, it's still missing a price engine, a CPQ system that will, let's say, that a customer makes, that it will make possible for a customer to set up their own questionnaire and logic to configure a quote, order, contract, or project. So again, it will increase the speed, the efficiency, and it will empower the sales to do much more in a shorter time frame and in the right way. And the last one, and I think that's also very important, it is actually one solution for the whole omni-channel. So that means internal sales reps, external users like dealers, resellers, or whatever type of external user, B2X, are able to use the same CPQ solution. Now, in a nutshell, what are the benefits of the solution? It's speed, it's visualization, an important part, not for all companies, but especially for manufacturing companies. It's guided selling. So a sales rep is grabbed by his hand, walked through a couple of questions to configure the right quote for the customer. Just to give you one simple example, I use it often in my sales meetings as well with customers. So with a CPQ tool, what you can do is you can select, okay, I would like to have this type of car, and this should be the engine, and I would like to have this accessory. But you can ask different questions to come to the end result in a different way. So the first question could be, how many people should fit in the car? And that means you cannot select the cabrio anymore. You can only select the sedan or the different type of car. Guided selling means you can build a questionnaire according to the needs of your business. It increased profits and margin because what a CPQ also supports is upsell and cross-sell. If you go through the questionnaire and you will tell, okay, I will select this one, the CPQ can tell you, hey, but most of our customers are asking for or are buying this product as well if you sell this one or if you buy this one. And they also include some services. So a sales rep or a customer or a dealer is supported, is even a little bit pushed or forced to, let's say, sell more and do more in a shortened time frame. Integration, very important. Stable integration to Dynamics ERP and CRM. And I think for the manufacturing companies that are dealing with bill of materials and routings, we can handle very complex situations. The calculations of large windmills or large trucks are just part of our, let's say, daily business. So although you start within Dynamics 365 for sales, CRM, you are able to create bill of materials and routings you can push to the ERP system in a later state. If that's to Dynamics, it's out of the box integration via Dataverse. If it's not an ERP, which is Dynamics, probably a different ERP the customer is using, and you can do that via a different mechanism. As a company, we don't focus on a particular industry, although I know in certain industries a CPQ system is often used. But again, if you look to this one, I think here are 12 examples of industries we are working in, we are having customers in, but again, it's customers. I think the similarity between our customers or the similarity is they're using Dynamics and they have a need for a system that will help them to improve the sales process, to create quotes orders for their contracts, for their projects or whatever. Just to give you a glimpse of the customers we are serving today, and again, it's a first glimpse across the world using our system. You can see we have put it in 4 columns right now in the manufacturing, technology, heavy equipment, and pro services. And over here, we have the enterprise customers around the world. So we have small customers with, let's say, not that much complexity. We have large customers with really complex, let's say, calculation situations. But there are also small customers with pretty, exclusive and difficult pricing structures. Now you can see a couple of examples over here. There is one which is not on the list, but I would like to mention them, or 2 actually. And I think it's very important because then you get a glimpse of what a CPQ can do beyond just product configuration. So one of our customers is Heineken. And I think most of you know Heineken. Heineken is the beer company, the famous beer company. And what they do, they don't configure the beer itself because it's pretty straightforward, but they use the configurator by their account managers to create the contracts for their customers. And that's pretty straightforward, but their pricing mechanism and discount mechanism is pretty difficult. So they have questions like, okay, what is your location? Does Heineken invest in the location? What is the, do you do marketing? How many beer do you need, etc. And based on that, there's all kind of calculations that will finalize, that will result in a certain price per liter beer. So they're using it not to configure a product, but actually to manage their contract. Another example is our customer called KLM. I think you know it. Actually, it's nowadays more French than Dutch. It's the airline company. And what they do, we are having as a customer KLM catering services, and they configure the meals, the custom meals for the planes. It's more related to a product, but it's just a different way of using it. Customers who are doing in the insurance, who are in the insurance to configure insurances. That's also part of our business, but also normal, a tractor or a forklift or an elevator or a printer. These are, of course, also within our customer list. So what we support with our CPQ solution is actually the full, what we call prospect to cash process. So here you can see on the top, you can see the blue and the orange square, the rectangles. So on the left side, you can see lead, opportunity, and quote. And actually, I think you're all aware of that. That's part of the Dynamics 365 sales. And sales order is also actually part of the Dynamics 365 for sales. And then we have sales orders also in Dynamics 365 for operations. So for finance and supply chain management, the fulfillment, and the invoicing. So what we normally show, and we call it an end-to-end solution. Today we will focus on Dynamics 365, but please bear in mind, we can do the full end-to-end solution. So what happens first? A sales rep will create a lead within CRM. Then it will promote it into an opportunity or qualify to an opportunity. Then within the opportunity, we are able to configure the opportunity with Experlogix, but you can also create a quote and configure the content of the quote with Experlogix. And then, of course, you can make multiple revisions because the customer will tell you, hey, this is not the right one. I would like to have a different, small change within my offer. You will change it, create multiple revisions, and then finally the customer will sign and the information is pushed, created an order within CRM and then pushed it via the Dataverse into the ERP system. That's usually what we show in demos to our customers, the full end-to-end solution. One thing I didn't mention yet is almost 1.5 years ago, we are selling a CPQ solution, configure, price, and quote. But the quote, let's say the written bit, the real document, the creation of the real document, wasn't really a huge part or a sophisticated part of our solution. So we bought a document generation tool, and we incorporated it within our CPQ solution. So maybe Experdoc, you have heard of it. So it's part of our solution right now. And you can use it as a standalone ISV solution like the CPQ, but you can also integrate it to each other and use it in combination with the CPQ system. I think that's it for now. And again, I told you there are so much more details I can tell you about this one, but I think let's keep it small and brief. And again, what we do, we often held webinars. What I do myself, but also my colleagues in Europe and the US, we often do demonstrations to our partners, to customers, to any type of audience that is interested in CPQ. We can do that with a real product demo from A till Z, but we can do also a kind of inspiration session. What I did this week actually with a large company in the Netherlands, and they were just having 15 people of different subsidiaries over in the Netherlands, and they asked me to present a kind of inspiration session to tell them, hey, what is CPQ and what can it mean to your organization? So let's go to, because I love to talk about the slides, but I even love more to show you our solution. So let's shut it down and let's go to this one. Just one question to Russ, is my screen visible? Are you able to see my screen? Can someone say yes? I don't hear you guys. Okay, let's move on. So what you can see over here is actually Dynamics 365 CE. So this is just one of our standard demo machines. And what we can do, we can start our CPQ system from within the opportunities. So you can start a CPQ from the opportunities. If I go to an opportunity, let's go over here. You will see on the top, there is a button called Configure. So in the ribbon on the top, you will see two buttons which are related to our solution. That's the Configure button, and that's the Smart Flows button. And the Smart Flow buttons is actually our document generation tool, which you can use both together or both separately as separate ISV solutions. You can also start our CPQ solution from within a quote. So if I go to a quote, just pick one of them. You can see the same button over here. And I can do it also from an order. The question if that's required, if that's necessary, but you can also start it from the order. I can tell you sometimes the configurator is only used as a sales configurator, because after somebody sold, let's say, did do a sell, then maybe engineering or other people will take a look at it and will add more information. So that's why you can start a configurator also from the order. And some people are even don't work with quotes and they go directly to an order if they know exactly what they have to deliver. So again, opportunities, quotes, and orders. And we will fit in the standard way of working of Dynamics. So we don't, let's say, push customers to work in a different way. No, we enrich the system with Dynamics with a system that's able to, let's say, tailor it to the customer's needs. So let's go to a quote. And let's do a new one. So I click on new. And what I do, I will just add, I will pick 003. I think everybody knows almost who this is. So this is Forest Wholesale. I will type in a demo for today, demo test, and I will add a price list, just standard. This is standard functionality, nothing to do with our solution. So when I click on save, it will just create the card of the quote. So it will create a quote within CRM. Now, as I mentioned, there are 2 buttons over here, but actually there are a couple of more. So you can see the quick view and the bomb view and the copy button. So what you're able to do is copy a quote to a new quote, including the configuration. But let's start with the most important, and that's the configure button. So instead of typing in or selecting all the items within, by add product within my quote, I can start a configurator. So the configurator will launch directly within, in this case, CRM, but also available within ERP. And I have 2 examples. So the configure example and the help me choose example. So let's dive into the help me choose. Very simple. So go back to my first comment. Every customer can use it like the way they require or prefer. So when they start with Experlogix, with CPQ, they will start with an empty screen. And they are able to define literally any detail on the screen. The type of questions, the amount of questions, the amount of answers, the logic, what should happen if you select something. What kind of visualization do you like? What kind of calculation should be done in the background? That's all something you can manage yourself. So what we do as a company, most of our implementations are a kind of train the trainer concept. So we learn our customers to use the design center, the toolbox, the design center, to set up these type of questionnaires. That's drag and drop. That requires Excel, advanced Excel knowledge. But even with basic IT skills, you are able to learn this. Of course, there's a learning curve and we will help customers to do it, but they are able to do it. So if tomorrow they will have different discount scenarios, or they have another product, extra product, or a new product, or whatever change, they can do it themselves. So they can maintain it themselves. So that's the word malleable from the sheet. If I go to this one and I select a tractor, for example, and go, you can see already it's narrowing down the list over here. Now it's a longer list. But if I go to intended services, let's do general freight, hilly terrain, less than 50, cap over. Oh, it's empty. Let's do the cap, day cap. And you can see there are 4 left. I can do, let's say, fuel economy over here, and it tells me the T68 is the most important one. What happens over here? So actually you can see I filter based on application and filter by application and filter by the truck characteristics. I filter down items from either CRM or ERP. This could come straight from the catalog from CRM, or it even can fetch from the ERP system. It depends on the situation and on the architecture of the systems customers are using. So very simple format of a kind of guided selling. But let's go back, and I think people will more recognize a configurator if I start to configure one. So when I click on the configure, I can choose a certain model. And I know this is more related to product configuration, but hopefully you will keep in mind what I taught you about, let's say, the various type of customers and the various way of using our system there is within our install base. So let's click on this one. I like this truck. And now you can see a whole questionnaire. A whole questionnaire with questions to configure, in this case, already a basic truck. Could be a basic one, and you can configure it in more detail, but it could be also from scratch, a total configuration from scratch. It could be a configuration that will result in the information to produce it. It could be also possible that it's more a sales configurator. That means it will calculate the price, but what happens next is maybe a different process. So let's go to the screen. So on the left side, and that's an option, you can go through the model in a very quick way by, for example, click on the sleeper, and it jumps to the questions related to the sleeper. On the top, you can see a couple of buttons, and some of them are pretty obvious, I guess. So home, back, save and close. But others are important. That's the quick view we saw also in the ribbon in CE, and the bomb view. So if I click on the quick view, it gives me an overview of all the selected options in an instance. So the standard conventional tractor, there's an engine, there's a transmission, etc. And I can even click on this one and I'm getting more details related to this tractor. Of course, you can change this overview as well, minimize it, expand it, the way the customer prefers. I can see the model because we are using most of the time a US, or I selected the US dollar price list. It's of course multilingual, so you can translate literally any detail in another language or multiple language, and depending on the sales rep, it can show up in that same language, or dealer or customer. And it's also a multi-currency, so you can use multi-currencies within the configurator, while it will result, because CE will only contain one currency, so it will result as a final quote into one currency. So close, I can also print it, and the other one is the bill of material. So I don't know, for some of you probably this is important. While I'm configuring my truck, it will build a whole structure of the components I need to produce or to assemble this truck. And also more data is available over here. And it's not only the components, it's even the routing. So in this case, it should be painted in a certain color. And you can see that over here, it should be painted. So let's jump to the sleeper. Just select a sleeper. I jump over the questions or I have right now, but let's do a sleeper. If I go back to the BOM, what you can see, the sleeper is attached right now. So again, I've made this button available so we can show it in a demo, but maybe the sales rep doesn't even know that this is created in the background already to push to the ERP. And that's one of the, let's say, ways you will increase the speed of selling something to produce something. And not only the speed, but also based on rules, based on logic in the design center within the CPQ, it will add exactly the right components instead of that someone is doing it manually. The other thing is, it will add everything that's needed to do it. So it will not forget, let's say, an extra door or whatever, because that's settled or that's defined up front. So a sales rep is only going through the questions and selecting the right stuff. And again, maybe salespeople are getting scared, but I think what we should do today is selling. We are a solution sellers instead of that we need to know any detail of, let's say in this case, the truck. So let's go through the model itself. So first of all, it's web enabled. It's cross-browser compatible. It's cross-device compatible. You can use it on any device, mobile device. Sometimes people are asking me a phone. I think it depends on the number of questions. We have customers selling mattresses you sleep on top of. Then you have, let's say, 3 or 4 questions. That's absolutely fine. But if you configure a truck like this, I think a phone is too small. But of course, you can use a tablet, whatever tablet. Now let's go to the question. So if I select something, let's do general freight. You can see a picture is changing right now. So our tool supports certain type of visualization. That means we can make very simple drawings. We can do some kind of image rendering. We can change a picture of a picture on top of a picture. If we go to 3D visualization, that's not really our cup of tea. But we work with very important partners, for example, 3Kit, but also VividWorks, who are selling 3D functionality, and we can integrate it within our solution. But most important is when I select an answer, or when I fill in something, or when I do anything in the screen, in the background, rules are executed or formulas are executed that will change a picture, that will tell me this is necessary, this is mandatory, or do you like to buy this one as well? Or don't you forget this one because it's also important. So there is a rule engine behind that will safeguard, will make it more accurate, will increase your speed, will help you to do things in a proper, but also in a professional way, because I can just open this in front of a customer, sitting down to a customer, say, hey guys, okay, you want to have a general freight? Okay, just select it. Oh, this is the difference. You can see directly what the impact is when you change one of the answers. Now let's go a little bit further. So I changed the terrain. Let's go to the hilly terrain. And it tells me for a hilly terrain, we recommend upgrading to a more powerful engine. So the standard engine, which was part of this truck, can be replaced by a new one, but I still have the possibility to select or unselect it. Now, click on OK. And what I can do always, you can see that the engine has changed, but I can always select my own engine based on, for example, the peak torque. So let's pick the peak torque and let's pick the most expensive or the cheapest one. Let's do it. And you can see it's funny because it tells me the selected engine with the peak torque of 250 is too high for the transmission. So actually this is a little bit funny because probably you would say with a CPQ you should prevent this. But sometimes as a sales rep, you would like to see all the possibilities and get notified when something goes wrong. So there are different approaches you can support. So in this case, what you see, there is a red flag, fix errors. And here, I only have the possibility to select the 8757 and the 8463. But I mentioned the rules and the formulas are very important. So telling you as a system, this is what you should do, you can use the rules also to fix this kind of thing. So you can say, fix this, okay. Okay, I will add the item based on stock value, what is it, margin, whatever kind of rule you can execute over here, what kind of information you want to use. And it will delete the Allison world speed. So click on OK, and it's done. Now, let's move forward because of the time as well. So we can do both configure to order, but also piece engineering to order. Configure to order means standard products with standard options, and you will just walk through the model. But in this case, you can also tell the system, hey, there's a special request. So this should, there is an air compressor, and this should be painted in black or same color as the truck itself. And what happens, and that's again the tight integration with Dynamics. This will launch or trigger a workflow within Dynamics that can be picked up by an engineer. If I scroll down to the end, there's pricing. There's a pricing part. If I increase the discount, let's increase the discount percentage to let's say 40%. It will tell me you require an approval. This will trigger a workflow within CRM that can be followed up by the manager or a different senior sales to approve the discount before you can even send it to a customer. So our CPQ is a flexible layer. It makes use, or it uses the standard functionality of CRM and integrates with the standard functionality. It doesn't save anything in itself, and it will not redundant information or functionality. Now, let's go up again. Now let's go. All the questions are pretty similar. Finally, in a nutshell, it's a questionnaire with logic behind, and it reads data from CRM and it pushes data to CRM. That's the easy way to consider a CPQ. Now you can see some visualization. Let's do it. Blue, If I add a sleeper, we saw it already, if I untick it or I tick it, you can see it over here, but also it will tell me, hey, do you need a sleeper and a refrigerator? That's fine, let's include it. Now let's scroll down. Scroll down, you can see radio buttons, checkboxes. Over here, some front tires, I can change the tires. You can see based on the size, the diameter. Now rating, maybe there's a promo available. There's a promo of 30% off, so you can select it. And the rear tires is a little bit different overview. But now you can see, you can just manage this the way you prefer, or the business requires, or the sales rep require, or even change the look and feel based on the user who's using the CPQ system. So for example, if it's a dealer, you would show it in a different way. If it's an internal sales rep, you will show it another way. That's all part of the same solution. Now, Experlogix is able to use standard items, but also create new items. We have a tight integration to Excel as well. So still, if people want to import Excel data, that's fine. And you can see over here, it's not only about the product. Here you can see the warranty. So add a warranty. And it's a very small one, but the service contract is based on quarterly, and you can see there's a certain price. Last but not least, the pricing summary with pricing for a dealer, for example, custom pricing, the margin. We have a very bad margin right now, but that's because of the discount. And let's say this is a important customer, important. And you can see there's also standard, some kind of tax and shipping calculation done based on the location of the customer or the distance to the harbor or whatever type of calculation you want to apply. Below you can see a couple of fields which are always visible. So we call it the promoted fields. So this is information, although I scroll through the model, you still have it available. Now what you can do, you can do two things actually right now. You can save and close it. Let's do it. So we save and close it. And what it will do, instead of defining all those lines within the CRM myself, it will just push all the information back into CRM and it will create a quote, update a quote. You can see it's taking a little longer than expected. Again, I did like to show you it, but my system also, I'm working at home, always a little bit of a challenge. So you can see it takes a little while longer, but anyway, you can see the lines are generated right now without doing it manually. It's the output of the configurator. And what I can do, I can just activate my quote. So let's activate it, activate the quote. I can create a nice document with our document generation tool, what I said called Smart Flow. So I can go to Smart Flows, create a document. Again, we are running quite a time, but let's see if I can start this very quickly, or do I have to log in? Okay, there it is. It will create a document. Let's do it very quickly. Next, let's create a document. And again, this is not an equivalent, but it's let's say a total document generation automation tool you can use on top of Dynamics 365, ERP and CRM. And here you can see this document is generated. So it includes the whole, even pictures are added based on the sleeper I've attached to the quote. So this is what I send to the customer. I can even use DocuSign or a digital signature application. But let's go back to the quote. The customer will tell me I had 3 years, but I would like to have 2 years or even more. So what we can do, we can just make a revision, and in the background, of course, the calculation is copied to the new revision as well. Again, I think this proves real-time our integration with a standard way of working within Dynamics 365 CE. It will not change the way of working, it will enrich the way of working based on the customer's needs and requirements. So you can see this is the new revision, and I can start a configurator again. So let's start a configurator. I can edit this one. And what I can do is, okay, I would like to have a different, what is it? Let's say 3 years, 640. So that's 7,800. Let's save and close again. And it will update the quote with the new information. And maybe there are all kind of calculations in the background, which has done based on this selection. You don't know right now, because I've shown you that part. Absolutely, if you want to dive deeper into the details, We can organize a webinar with both the front end and the back end, and that will be absolutely valuable to understand the whole thing. So you can see it's updated with 3 years 640. Another thing I didn't show you yet, but if I go to the related engineering request, you can see there is an engineering request over here called, this should be painted in black. So let's say that's 6,000 euros or dollars in this case. Lead time is 10 weeks. And let's save and close this. Okay, and let's go to the related discount request. There's a discount, and let's do approved. And this is okay. And let's save and close it. Let's go back to the quote itself. Let's open the configurator, and hopefully, again, hopefully it will add the information too. So you can see right now it added to the configurator a customization price of 6,000, a lead time of 10 weeks. And if we scroll down, the commission is approved. And again, the extra text is not visible over here, but this is enough to move on. So what we will do, we will close this. We will activate the quote again. We will send it again. Now we create another document for the customer. So let's do it again. Truck demo. And what I said, it's not only generating the quote, it's also asking you things. So you can add some text, it can fit documents together, it can add white papers, it can store the information in SharePoint or in CE, all kind of different ways. So let's do for DocuSign. And now I can click on this. And now it's sending the information via DocuSign. So it's going to DocuSign. I will get an email within a short instance where I can react on. I can sign it as a customer. And the signed document will be come back within the ERP system within a shortened time frame and saved within CE or where you want to have it, because that could be different situations, different locations, but that's possible. So I will get a message within a shortened time frame, but I will not go into DocuSign. Let's go into the system itself. So the customer did select this, it's right. So what will happen? We can create an order. And in this case, because we don't go to ERP, but on the moment we click on create an order, it will create the order. And in the background, all the information, including bill of materials and routings or other relevant information, can be pushed via Dataverse into the ERP system. So within the ERP, it can be followed up the way the company needs or prefers. And of course, it creates an order entity within CRM. I think we are almost 10 minutes before the end of this meeting. So let's dive into 2 more slides. So let's go to my slides again, if I can get them up and running. I know where they are. It looks like it doesn't do it in a proper way. So let's do it this way. Where are we? Yes, do it this way. Okay. It looks like there are some troubles with my PowerPoint anyway, so I don't know if you still see my screen. Hopefully you do. So if you want to have some more information, if you look at our website, www.experlogix.com or www.experdoc.com. So if I go to the website directly, so there are 2 websites actually, we call Experlogix. There's a lot of information under resources. So there's a blog, there's a library, customer stories. We have a lot of videos, trainings, and of course, customer and partner portal. If you're a customer or you want to become a customer or partner, that's the same way. Integrations to the different solutions we have available and the different products. And here you have our Experdoc solution as an Experlogix brand, so that you probably had, it does use a different logo, but again, that's why I emphasize it. It's part of our organization. We have the same support desk. It's fully integrated with our organization. And then last but not least, thank you very much for your time. I love to schedule another meeting with some of you if you like. Here you can find my details, of course. I will share the slides with Russ as well. So if anyone wants to reach out to me or, of course, my colleagues, absolutely welcome. I love to dive into more details at a later stage.
Thank you, Wim. Wim, so if you could remember to share your contact details in the chat as well, that'd be really helpful.
Absolutely, Russ.
Great stuff. So let's take a look at the questions. Let's take a look. Okay, so here's a question from Miha, is asking, how long does it take to implement CPQ for an average customer? Is there any simple solution for SMB customers?
It is, but let's say it's difficult to give you an answer on how much time does it take, because we have small customers, SMB customers, with very complex situations. We have customers which are very large with very easy stuff. So the average time to implement a CPQ is somewhere around 3 till 9 months. And then 3 months is very fast and very easy. And 9 months is, let's say, an average. But we have also customers, we have implemented their solution for 1.5 years. But then you talk about really large enterprise companies. But yes, we have a lot of SMB customers in our portfolio. So most important thing is, do they have IT people themselves to maintain the system? That's an important question. Otherwise, we should do a kind of turnkey implementation that can speed up the time to implement it. But on the other hand, it will be expensive, more expensive, because we have to do all the stuff. And if there will be changing something in the future, we have to be involved as well. So again, I think it's important that customers will learn the system themselves. And some can do that very fast, otherwise will take it longer. So 3 till 9 months, an average.
Thank you, Wim. So Jacko Kaufman is asking, do you have any FSI use cases for CPQ? If yes, can you explain one of those scenarios?
I'm not in my area. Of course, I think we have, but I have to find out. So is that okay if I can get the details from the one who did the question, so I can come back to you?
Yep. So Jacko Kaufman, if Wim, if you could share your contact details in the chat with Jacko, then yeah, that'd be great.
FSI, yeah, companies. Yeah.
Excellent. Okay. Yeah, cool, fantastic. So are there any other questions? So whilst we wait for any other questions, it's important for people to understand the complexities of the process, which I think you yourself, Wim, have articulated quite well. There are challenges in the process around within an application and amongst a distributed team. There's a challenge, right? There's a real challenge there that needs to be solved. And often what happens is in a Dynamics app implementation, you'd go ahead, you would just, without thinking about the complexities, you'd go ahead and just deliver an MVP, what you call an MVP. But what will happen is that the MVP will only be useful in a certain use case. And then when you are trying to deliver real sales strategies and customer experience, you start having challenges because you have constraints within the system where it can only handle certain pricing mechanisms and so on and so forth. You lose that flexibility. Could you share some thoughts on that, Wim?
Yeah, I think there are two types of customers actually, Russ. So the first customer is they know they have a certain complexity in their offering, so they know we need a CPQ. Out of the question, it's part of the RFI, for example, or RFP. The other companies, they are a little bit old-fashioned and they have all their knowledge in their head. So they think we can solve it without any other tool. And what happens often is that you will start with the implementation. You don't ask questions related to that process, and it will still stay the same. And then on a certain moment, and that happens a lot. So after, let's say, a couple of months and they dive into the details, they will ask, we need another system. And then we have to jump in on a certain moment. And I think it's much more successful if you talk about this already up front, to make it a topic in one of the discovery sessions. And then you will find out really soon if there's a need and a requirement for a CPQ.
Awesome, thank you. Okay, so are there any other questions? We've only got a few more minutes left. So just a reminder for Wim to share your contact details in the chat.
I will do that, definitely.
Jacko said he will reach out to you in relation to his FSI use cases. I can imagine FSI is a very large industry, especially in Europe and the UK. Any other questions? There are a couple more minutes left. There you go. So Wim has shared his contact details, guys. So feel free to reach out to Wim for any further elaboration or any other questions.
All at the same time, Ross. Not all.
Yep, that's right, guys. So fantastic. There we'll also be announcing winners of the prize as well. So just as a reminder to everyone, Experlogix is also the Dynamics 365 Power Community Partner. So they've been helping us with our events this year. And so we do have winners for a prize. Some of the prizes are books, Lego, as well as a training course on business relationships. So we will be announcing the winners of that tomorrow. So for those people who registered with Experlogix Rocks, yeah, we will have announcing the winners for that tomorrow. So Wim, any final announcements before you go?
I think 3 minutes time. So normally I would offer all the audience a drink somewhere, but that's a little bit difficult online. So I would say enjoy your afternoon, the other sessions, and hopefully see you back soon.
Thank you once again, Wim. So we will be seeing Experlogix again in the Dynamics 365 Business Central Bootcamp. So we do have